When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place. There were literally gun battles going on in the streets near my home. They got us out of Tehran to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where I live now. They left behind everything and everyone they knew and loved for a chance at a better life for me and my two younger brothers. They took us from a legacy of tyranny to a legacy of freedom. And I believe, Alex, inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom.
All right, new guest of the show today, Nicky Billou is here. He was born in Iran, then moved to the West. He's a podcaster. He is a thought leader in his own right, and I think he's very knowledgeable about a lot of subjects germane to the news cycle today, and best-selling author as well. Nicky, I want to talk to you about your arc before we get into what's going on today in Iran. But your family fled Iran when you were a teenager. When was this? What was life like then? And then you moved to Canada, and just maybe compare and contrast that a little bit.
You got it. So when I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place. I was born in 1967, and 1978 is when the first rumblings started to happen. There were literally, Alex, gun battles going on in the streets near my home. One day, though, the freak-out factor for my parents went up 1,000-fold when there was this big crash through our living room window. Glass shards flew everywhere, and this object landed near my feet. Now I'm 11. I don't know what the heck it is, but it was a bottle full of liquid with a burning cloth wick, a Molotov cocktail. So my dad grabbed it. He pulled out that burning wick, which is the only reason I'm around to talk to you today.
Wow.
And yeah, it's crazy. And that's when they said, that's it, we're out of here. And they made a plan, and they got us out of Tehran. We moved from Tehran first to Athens, Greece, and we were waylaid there for 2 years. And then finally we got from Greece to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where I live now. Now, when I first got to Canada, I mean, I was a kid. I'm sure you can relate. You were a kid yourself once. I didn't want to leave my home or my friends. And I'm going, why the hell are we here? But as time goes on, I started to realize the nobility of my mom and dad's sacrifice. Because think about this. They're in their 30s, and they left behind everything and everyone they knew and loved for a chance at a better life for me and my two younger brothers. And I started to realize, man, what a beautiful legacy they left for us. They took us from a legacy of tyranny to a legacy of freedom. And I believe, Alex, inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. We all yearn to breathe free, to march to the tune of our own drummer, to chart our own course. And honestly, that's why I've become a conservative, because I believe that conservatives in the West are the people who see this with a clear eye and take a bold stand for the rest of us to remain free, while the liberals appear to have all lost their minds, and they think these crazy modern Nazis are people they can cozy up to, which is absolutely insane.
So this is one thing that is, we can just start here in terms of what's going on now. It does feel like there's a lot of people in the West who are finding themselves defending the Iranian regime. And I know that they don't want American ground troops in regime change war. I understand that position. I basically am with that position. But they're acting as though now they have to stoop to the level of where they're defending the Ayatollah, essentially.
That's true. I call it Trump derangement syndrome, and I know that you've used that phrase yourself. If Donald Trump cured cancer, these people would go online and they'd say good things about cancer, for crying out loud. That's how crazy they are. They can't seem to accept that Donald Trump can make a single good decision or do anything good for humanity. And here's the truth. The Islamic regime in Iran is the modern-day Nazis. Alex, they declared war on the West and the United States when they came into power. The only thing is, every single Western leader stuck their head in the sand and pretended it wasn't happening. But look at what these folks have done. 1983, Beirut bombing of the U.S. barracks in Beirut, right? Bill Buckley, the CIA station chief in Beirut, was kidnapped, tortured, murdered. Colonel Higgins of the United States Marines killed by Hezbollah. Who's Hezbollah? Hezbollah is a group that believes in what the mullahs in Iran believe, and they're entirely funded and ideologically driven by the mullahs. These are bad people. They mean the West ill. They mean America ill. If they had a chance to get their hands on nuclear material that they could use, they would absolutely use it. They'd use it in Israel first, they'd use it in Europe next, and finally they'd use it in the United States. They would attempt to kill millions of people because they've got an ideological view that the world needs to be a one world Islamic Caliphate, which means caliphate in English. And that's what they're all about. That's what they want to do. Donald Trump is the first president to see the threat with a clear eye. He said, okay, you declared war on us. I'm going to accept your declaration of war, and I'm going to finish this war. He's doing the right thing. That's why when I go to rallies in Toronto, people that are Iranian in these rallies, they stand up and they say, thank you, Trump. That's Persian way of saying Trump. Thank you, Bibi. They thank the United States and Israel for what they're doing. There's videos of people in Iran, Alex, that are cheering the Israeli aircraft that are bombing them. Imagine how desperate you have to be that you'd rather be bombed than live under the regime that you're living under right now. Imagine the state of mind you need to have that that's preferable.
I am trying to imagine it, and I think this is what's interesting to me is I want to understand where you think the Iranian people are, because it seems like there's a deep disconnect between where the people are and where the government power resides, because it resides with the Ayatollahs and the IRGC, and it seems like the people are not on board with it. But are there any? Because it's a nation with so many different factions, so many tribal elements to it. It's very complex from afar. Can you try to help us understand the essentials?
Absolutely. So you're right. There are a lot of different ethnic groups in Iran. There are the Baluchis, there are the Lors, there are the Kurds, there are the Azeris, there are the Persians, there are Arabs in Iran, believe it or not. We are really the first true melting pot. Cyrus the Great, back 2,500 years ago, made the Persian Empire the first true melting pot of the world. But here's one thing that virtually the entire country can agree on. The Islamic Republic is the spawn of the devil. They've been repressing the people of Iran for 47 years. This is how twisted these people are. If you're a woman and they want to kill you, they're going to gang rape you before they kill you, because in their twisted ideology, virgins get to go to heaven and they can't have that. Think about how crazy and nutty that is. And I'm going to tell you, the only people that support the Islamic Republic are hardcore religionists, which are about 5 to 7% of the country, plus the people that are actually a part of the regime that benefit from being a part of the regime. This is a total of about 8 to 10% of the Iranian people. The rest of the Iranian people hate their guts and want to see them gone.
So what happens if the regime is deposed? What would follow? Because this is one of the most challenging questions, I think.
Absolutely agree with you. So are you familiar with Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince of Iran, the son of the Shah?
Yes.
So he has something called the Prosperity Project for Iran. So he's brought 100 senior leaders from all kinds of different backgrounds to put together a significant transition plan for Iran post the Islamic Republic. They're looking at things like territorial integrity. They're looking at things like form of government. They're looking at things, what they have to do to rebuild the economy, what they have to do to reopen the country to the world. So there is someone there that has actually taken the time to put together a transition plan, and that's the Crown Prince. But here's the other thing that's very, very important for your listeners and viewers to understand. The people of Iran, when they've been out in the streets demonstrating for their rights, the name on their lips invariably is Reza Pahlavi. Here's one of the chants. They say, "In akharin nabard Pahlavi barmigarde." In English, that means this is the last battle. Pahlavi will return. And they are also chanting Javid Shah, Javid Shah, Javid Shah, which means long live the Shah. Here in the West, the diaspora, which are 9 million strong. Think about this. The Iranian diaspora around the world is 9 million strong. Invariably, at all the rallies, the name of Reza Pahlavi is on their lips. The people of Iran, both within and without the great country of Iran, want Pahlavi back. Why? Because they remember, those that are old enough, the time of the Shah. The Shah of Iran was probably the most effective leader of the 20th century. He took a backward nation that was living 14 centuries past and brought them kicking and screaming into the 20th century. By the time his reign was over, Iran was one of the top 20 great powers in the world. The Iranian economy had grown by over 1,200% in 37 years. These are astounding numbers. If you look at videos from Iran in the 60s and the 70s, it looks like the West. Beautiful young girls are wearing mini skirts. People are dancing. People are out in parks holding hands. You know, you've got singers out there. Some of the best singers in the world are Iranian singers from that era. People like Vigen, people like Gugush, and Frank Sinatra. In my mother's opinion, the greatest entertainer of all time. And, you know, God bless my mother. She said, I'm the most faithful woman in the world, but if Frank Sinatra came to see me, I'd tell him, your dad, all bets are off, baby. And she said to me that one of the honors of her life was to get to see him in concert. He came to Tehran and he did a concert, and all the tickets for that show were sold out within 10 minutes, my friend. Iran was an oasis in the Middle East. It was a Switzerland of the Middle East. And the people of Iran have a collective memory of that, even people who weren't alive at that time. And they want that time back because these people have lived under the evil dictatorship of the Islamic Republic, which is a vicious cross between doctrinaire religiosity and Nazism and Marxism, because everybody's poor except for a few people at the very top of the regime. Nobody wants that anymore, man. They want their country back. And Alex, I'm sure you might know one or two Persians in the United States that are acquaintances or friends of yours. They typically tend to be hyper-educated, hardworking, very successful, and they're out to be the best they can be in the world. These people are ready to go back and help rebuild Iran. All they need is for this evil Islamic regime to be shunted aside and for the transition plan to come into place. And the Shah's son has said he does not want to take over and be a king. He wants a 2-year transition, and he wants to put it to a plebiscite and have the people decide what kind of government they want. And America should support that.
So a couple of points where I feel like we need some clarity or understanding. The first one is a lot of this is contingent on the military buying into it, which that seems very far-fetched. So unless there's any military fighting force, then it's going to be very hard to have any sort of a peaceful transition whatsoever. So what is the path for whatever is next for them to be able to go up against the IRGC? Because the IRGC is not going to go along with any of this.
No, the IRGC's top leadership is being decimated, though, and I think the plan is basically to make sure that the IRGC as an effective, well-led fighting force is destroyed. The people in the military, in the Artesh, right, these guys are not nearly as ideological. Some of their top leaders have been killed as well, and the plan is to have them start to see that staying on the side of the Islamic Republic isn't in their long-term interest and have some of them defect. What happened in 1979 is the generals in the Air Force defected from the Shah to Khomeini's side. That's what allowed him to take power. And we believe this is something that can and will end up happening. The IRGC is going to be destroyed. As an effective military fighting force, I believe the United States and Israel have done a hell of a lot of damage to it, and they're going to continue to do so. There is a Mossad Farsi-based X account, which is telling the people of Iran, identify your oppressors and your repressors from the Basij and the IRGC. Let us know who they are. We're going to take care of them. And they're doing that. There's videos of Iranian people saying, hey, this is where the IRGC people are. They're hiding under this bridge. And you've got this Israeli drone, which has got this beautiful camera that shows where they are, and they send a missile and they start killing these people. And that's what they're doing because they got to get rid of every single evil Islamist supporting person that has a remote handle on power. And once that's done, the folks that are more patriotic than Islamists, I believe, are going to say, we don't all want to be killed. We want to step forward. And they're going to say, yes, we are wanting to be a part of Iran's future, not part of its past.
So that's where things get very interesting, because the people who are leading Iran now are religiously ideological, and that does seem to be their guiding principles are focused around the Islamization of really the whole planet, and that includes wiping out America and Israel if they have the means to do so. And it seems like a very hard circle to square here with the rest of the public who would like to see, I think, Iran participate, who is a productive member of the rest of the world community, so to speak. So this is where I ask again about who enforces this. So let's say whatever government you can dream up, maybe it's a Pahlavi-led government, maybe something else. Like, how does it get enforced when you've got ideologically driven opposition in the form of the Ayatollahs?
Well, many of these people have already been killed. Okay, so there's no one single person in charge of the Islamic Republic right now. There's people who have various pockets of influence, and they're the ones who are holding out. So the United States and Israel have attacked effectively using their intelligence services to get data on this, the leadership of the Islamic Republic, and they're continuing to do so. I believe it's just a matter of time before the people 1, 2, 3 tiers lower than them in power are going to say, enough of this. I don't want to be killed in my sleep. I want a different future. And every single Islamist that has been in charge needs to be eliminated. Frankly, whoever's still at large needs to be taken out. And believe me, I believe this is the goal of certainly the nation of Israel. And I think even though Donald Trump seems to send some mixed messages from time to time, he really doesn't want to see the Islamic Republic continue to stay in power, because he knows that once he's gone, they'll somehow find a way to reconstitute themselves and they're going to attack America again. So Trump wants these guys out. That's why I'm very confident they're going to be out.
Yeah, and I feel like that Trump definitely wants that. I don't know if Trump has an idea of what comes next, though. I spent a little time with him a couple of weeks ago, and I got to be frank with you. It didn't seem like he took Pahlavi that seriously as the successor to what is going to come next. So maybe his opinions changed the last couple of weeks. I don't know. But that's just a real reality that I think Trump has got to deal with, is that he doesn't want to leave things so chaotic that we undo the good that has been done by taking out so many of these nuclear sites and so many of these bad guys.
I agree with you, but if you have the ear of President Trump, you should tell him to take Reza Pahlavi very, very seriously. He has the support of the Iranian people in a way nobody else does, and that's a fact. And if you go right now and you want to conduct polling in the diaspora, you're going to see that their support for him is in the neighborhood of 85%. And in Iran, the support for the Shah coming back, if anything, is as high, if not even higher. There is no other figure that unifies the Iranian people. The Pahlavi name is magic in Iran, and it captures the imagination of the Iranian people in a way nobody else can or will. The president should take him very seriously. He also should understand that Iran is not Iraq, Iran is not Libya, Iran is not a failed nation state that was a fake country created by the British after the end of the British mandate in Palestine back in the 1920s. Iran is the world's oldest continuous nation state. We have a rich history, a rich culture. We have a unified vision of who we are as a people, and we believe we have a leader. And our leader is Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. People in the West need to understand that. There's a lot of people close to President Trump who look at Iran and go, we don't want another failed Iraq. And I understand that. Believe me, that would be terrible for everybody. But they need to understand, and Alex, I want to make this point very strongly to you. Iran is not Iraq, and that is unlikely to happen. Very unlikely, because the people of Iran are not sectarians. They're going to fight each other. They're going to come together because they want to see the country move past the Islamic Republic.
Nicky, let's take this point on, because this is really important. We all know this to be true, but how would you articulate it? How is Iran not Iraq? There's obviously very noteworthy differences, but share some of them that you think are most important.
Look, Iraq is not a real country. Okay, there is no tradition of an Iraqi nation. Iraq was put together in 1922 after the Ottoman Empire fell apart. The British decided, we're going to create a whole bunch of fake countries here. We're going to draw these lines. And then there's people that were put together that never really had a history of being a nation, of working together, of having a unified vision going forward. So that doomed Iraq from the start. As soon as the strongman Saddam Hussein was pulled away from power, the people that never had any sense of shared identity said, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to take what's mine. That's not the case in Iran. Like I said, we're the world's oldest continuous nation state. We've been around for nearly 6,000 years. Okay? Cyrus the Great created the Persian Empire over 2,500 years ago. He's the man who created the world's first declaration of human rights in the Cyrus Cylinder. That's up in the British Museum. Thomas Jefferson derived inspiration from the Cyrus Cylinder to write the Declaration of Independence. Did you know this, Alex?
I didn't know.
You need to go look into this. Cyrus the Great was the man who inspired Thomas Jefferson. in the Cyrus cylinder, he said freedom of religion for all of the people in this empire. He said that people from different backgrounds and different ethnicities can live together. No one's going to be treated better or worse. We have a history of believing in human rights as a people. And I'm telling you, that history is very important to understand because it gives the Iranian people a sense of identity that just didn't exist in Iraq. And if you go and you look at what happened in Iran back in January, and you look at the videos that are being sent out before they shut down the internet, invariably the Iranian people are saying, we want the mullahs gone, okay, and we want Pahlavi back. And look, on January 8th and 9th, Reza Pahlavi asked the Iranian people, this is before the internet shutdown, to pour into the streets to show that they wanted the Islamic Republic to go away. Iran's a nation of 90 million people. Alex, 35 million Iranians poured into the streets of the cities. That's nearly 40% of the population. Alex, tell me, other than Donald Trump, which world leader could give an instruction like that and get 40% of the darn country to jump into the streets and cheer his name? Because I'm telling you, you'd be hard-pressed to find a single one. The Iranian people understand their past, they understand their history, they understand the glory of their culture, they want it back. The Iranian people remember Pahlavi, remember how Iran was. Even those that weren't born then, they can see the videos because of the internet. God bless the internet. And they don't want to be part of an Islamist life anymore. That's why, Alex, they went into the guns with nothing but their bare bodies. Have you ever seen anything so darn brave in your life, Alex, as those young Iranians that went into the guns with nothing in their hands and got slaughtered by their tens of thousands demanding their rights? Because I got to tell you, Alex, as a human being, as a man, I have never seen anybody, any group of people be that brave. It humbles the hell out of me, and it makes me determined to help these people win their freedom in any way possible, because I'm sitting here comfortable and alive and healthy and prospering in the West. It's my people who are suffering back home in Iran. They want their freedom. They want it now. We're grateful to the United States for stepping up and taking these mullahs down. Keep it up, keep bombing them until they've got no way to resist, and then let us do the rest. You don't need boots on the ground. The Iranian people are going to jump into the streets and we're going to take over. And at that point, Pahlavi will return. And when he does return, my friend, I believe Iran will be America's greatest ally, because Iran and the Iranian people are people who understand loyalty and they understand gratitude. And we're very grateful to Donald Trump and the United States and to Israel for having freed us. And we want to say this: Israel is a nation that understands paying its debts. 2,500 years ago, the people of Israel were being held as slaves by the Babylonians. Cyrus the Great went and overthrew the Babylonian Empire and freed the Israeli people and allowed them, not just allowed them, but escorted them back to their homeland in Israel and helped them rebuild the temple. That is something that is biblical. It's fact. And today, the Israeli people are doing the same for the Iranian people, and we're very grateful for it.
Nicky Billou, you've got the Thought Leader Revolution podcast. You've also got something called E-Circle Academy, which is a coaching apparatus that you've got going. So I know you moved to Canada. Are you still there?
I am. I live in Toronto.
So what's Toronto like in the age of Trump right now?
I got to tell you, I love my city, but I'm sure you know we're living under a quasi-fascist government right now. Justin Trudeau has taken away a lot of our rights, and his successor, Mark Carney, just passed a bill called C9, where he's trying to make it basically a crime to express yourself online with wrong things. So if they don't like your political opinions, just like in the UK, they're going to be able to arrest Canadians. So I'm hopeful that in Canada, we're going to be able to elect a conservative government and we're going to be able to reverse some of these things. But it's not looking good for the people of Canada at the moment, my friend. Not at all.
Yeah, it's disappointing. It feels like almost every other nation seemed to understand that Trump was onto certain things, and Canada's really staked out an identity of just defying Trump and whenever they can, which is just not. I don't think it's advisable. I don't think it goes well when you do that. But that's what they've done, which is kind of a shame. Tell me about the E-Circle Academy.
So E-Circle Academy is a company that I started several years ago, and our vision really was to be a company that stood for freedom. Because of my background being someone from Iran, I believe in helping people be as free as they can possibly be. And one of the main things of freedom is having some financial freedom. And there's a lot of people that are in business that are good people that are doing what they do, but they're just not good at the game of business. And what we do is we help them become better business people so they can actually succeed and make the money to create financial freedom for themselves. And we don't work with woke people. I got to say this off the top of our head. We only work with conservatives and sane people. So if you're a woke person, don't come to East Circle Academy. But if you're a person who believes in freedom, and if you're a person who believes in the principles of live and let live and letting everybody else be free, and you own a business and you want to grow it, please come see us.
That's so right on. And again, not helping the woke succeed is great, but also just the fact there are so many people that I know in my personal life and in the audience who are really good people and create quality products and are just really bad at marketing and selling and getting it out there and optimizing their return on their talents. And so that's good. So I'm glad people like you are out there to help. Nicky, you're a very inspiring guy, and we're all rooting hard for Iran in the audience, and it's really nice to catch up with you. And if you want to hear more from Nicky, the Thought Leader Revolution podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, Nicky. Appreciate you.
Alex, thank you for having me. It's an honor. And I got to say, I love the work that you're doing at Breitbart. Breitbart is my go-to source for news. And really, it's a fantastic, fantastic organization. Thank you for what you do to make it relevant.
Perfect. That really couldn't be nicer of you to say that. That's what we're here for, is to try to reach people like you. And you spreading our message out there, it just does a lot for us as well. So thanks a lot, Nicky.
God bless you.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.